For the first Southern Utah Tennis Academy YouTube video, we're going to talk about the most common obstacles that stand between players and having a smooth serve. The serve is extremely important, and the stats in the game show that. On the ATP Tour, if you make a first serve, there's about a 70% likelihood that you're going to win the point. If you make a second serve, you miss your first serve, that number drops to about 50%. In addition to the serve being a weapon and something that's used to advance the point early on and create opportunities, it is something that must also be extremely consistent. And in order to be consistent, it has to be repeatable. And I find that many players struggle with their serves in 4 key areas. Number 1 being the toss. Number 2 being the balance and quality of their trophy position. Number 3 is that they, in general, lack a proper throwing motion and proper throwing mechanics, which are going to allow you to serve effortlessly and do it repeatably and consistently over the course of a best 2 out of 3 match and a tournament. And the 4th obstacle is that most players have a lot of extra motion on their serve. So for this video, I'm going to address all 4 of those obstacles and give you a few tips and drills that are going to help you figure those out. So the first and probably most important obstacle that even very advanced players struggle with is a reliable and consistent toss. You can have everything correct in the motion, but a bad toss is going to throw you off a ton. First mistake is that people are holding the ball very, very deep in the palm, and this is going to cause the ball to rotate and spin a lot when you toss it. If you ever feel like the ball rolls off early, or you even hang on to it too late, it could be because you're holding the ball in the palm. A much better way to hold the ball is in the fingertips. Now, there are definitely some variations in how players on the tour hold their hands when they toss. I was always taught to do it a little bit as if I'm holding an ice cream cone. And you can see how the ball is in my fingertips. And the important part is when I release, all I'm going to do is open my fingers. I'm not going to let the ball roll. So here's how you can work on releasing the ball without letting it roll out of your hand. The first drill is called the still ball drill. And what I want from you is to toss and have the ball rotate as minimally as possible. So as discussed, I'm going to hold this ball in my fingertips. I'm going to have the logo pointed down, and my goal is for that logo to stay pointed down the entire time that I'm tossing. If the ball is rolling and spinning, then your release is not just opening the fingers. So here's what it should look like. Logo down. Got a little bit of roll there, so I'm going to really just focus on opening my hand, nothing else. Now, you can see I'm also releasing the ball at roughly shoulder to eye level. Generally, in this range, you'll find a more consistent toss. The next part of your serve that may be throwing off the toss is what I call the jolt with the hips. So a lot of players, when they go to toss, you see that all of a sudden there's a ton of motion with the body. I want you to watch most, again, not all, but most good ATP and WTA servers, and you're going to see that their body is extremely still as they're tossing the ball. They begin to load right as the ball leaves their fingertips, not before. If you start adding in too much legs and lower body before you release the ball, you're going to change the angle of the release point, and that could be all it takes to put that ball off too far to the left, behind you, in front, or to the right. So for this next variation of the tossing drill, I'm going to work on keeping my body perfectly tall, perfectly upright, and letting the shoulder do the work for the toss. I'm only going to begin loading my knees and hips once the ball is leaving my fingertips. So again, we're trying to avoid that, where there's a huge hip jolt as we toss, and we want to stay upright. See again how my upper body very tall, and I begin sinking into my knee bend after the ball has left my fingertips. So again, to avoid the jolt, practice staying upright. I think a very underlooked reason why many players struggle on their toss is they simply continue to hit bad tosses. If you hit a toss and you land off balance, you move totally in one direction or the other instead of landing balanced slightly into the court, then you've chased a bad toss. Why are you going for the bad tosses? If your goal is to give yourself the best chance to compete and win, you're gonna let those bad tosses drop, which is also gonna help you build the habit of only rewarding yourself for the good ones. The second obstacle that most players face when it comes to developing a smooth serve is they have a weak trophy position and a low contact point. The telltale signs of a weak trophy position are gonna be a low hitting elbow and a dropping left arm. You wanna have roughly a 90-degree angle with your hitting arm, and you want your left hand very high up, at times over your head. And we're gonna get to why that's important in the throwing section of the video. When you have a dropping shoulder and or a dropping left arm, you're gonna experience a low contact point. We wanna maximize the height at which we're hitting the serve above the net so that we have to create less height on the serve to get it over. Additionally, the higher you hit it, the more power you're gonna get and the better angle you're gonna get into the court, which is gonna make your serve bounce higher and be significantly harder to return. I'm gonna show you the box drill, which is gonna help you in 3 different ways. It's gonna help you with your toss, it's gonna help you with getting a strong trophy position with a high elbow, and it's gonna help you get the ball way up higher above your head. This is one of my absolute favorite serving drills, something that I really do use on a regular basis with the players that I train with, and that's the box drill. This is great because it's gonna help you address those 2 main obstacles, which is gonna be the toss, a strong trophy position, and a good contact, which goes along with the strong trophy position. So, place a box on the service line, and you're gonna serve from trophy position. First and foremost, is with this drill, it's gonna be really hard to hit a bad toss. You don't have your legs to allow you to go chase a bad toss, so it's gonna be really apparent when your entire body leans backwards or forwards and you lose all your balance. Number 2 is I'm gonna have a tall left arm, a tall tossing arm, and I'm gonna keep this elbow nice and high. I'm gonna avoid crunching down and then having to go all the way back up. I'm gonna keep the elbow high. And the third piece is I'm trying to get this ball absolutely as high above my head as I can. So here's what it should look like. The third very common obstacle that players who struggle serving smoothly run into is they simply lack the proper throwing mechanics. Now, serving a tennis ball and throwing a baseball are extremely similar movements with one key difference. If I were to throw this tennis ball right at the camera, I'm gonna use my left arm to point in that general direction first. It'll look something like this. Now, the major difference is if the serve was a throw, our goal would not be to throw the ball far forward. It would be to throw the ball high as possible, number 1, and then forward. So back to the left arm. If I'm aiming for the camera, my left arm is low. If I'm gonna hit a serve and I'm aiming high, my left arm is gonna be high. I think it is worthwhile at this point to go watch a slow motion video of Federer's serve. You're gonna see that in his trophy position, his left hand is almost directly above his head. This is setting the angle at which he's going to attack the ball. For this exercise, whether you're using a tennis ball or a racket, which you can see a lot of on my Instagram, we love doing racket throws at Southern Utah Tennis Academy, you want to release high. So, left hand high, release high, and try to feel a little bit of that whip motion there at the end. Again, the goal is to throw high, not low. If you throw low, that's a telltale sign that you're pulling down with the left arm. Final important piece here. When we throw, we don't just let the left arm go to the wayside. The left arm is going to tuck into the chest. That's going to keep ourselves balanced. It's going to keep us from having limbs all over the place. So, last one. If you're able to throw a ball high and far with the proper mechanics and not a lot of effort, I guarantee you that you're going to be able to serve much more smoothly and without having to feel like you're putting 120% effort into every single ball. When it comes to helping players with their serves, one of the most common things that I do is I try to remove extra pieces of motion and just keep the motion as fluid and continuous as possible. Now, what I have here is a serve training device. All it is 2 tennis balls inside of a trash bag, and I've wrapped the whole thing with electrical tape. You can also use duct tape, I would assume. Now, the goal when you use this device is to have no stops in the motion and to feel that the ball at the end of the rope is in constant motion. If you have a break in your motion, you might have heard other coaches say your serve has a hitch or it's a little bit jerky. What they're talking about is this. So you see there how in the back, I lost momentum, the ball fell, and I had to recreate all the energy. Versus when I'm swinging this in one continuous loop, I'm very efficient. This is where the easy power and repeatability comes through. This is also a great exercise to work on not trying too hard on the serve. Now, I know that there are examples out there, Ben Shelton being one of them. You could say, hey, he's so physical on his serve. Well, you're probably not Ben if you're watching this video. And it's very unrealistic, I think, for most players to achieve what he has achieved on the serve. It's a lot easier, in my opinion, to learn how to serve with little effort. And training with this device, which you can make at home, should help you get closer to that goal.